So for the second part, what I what I think would be a good idea, because you've been asking about those rhythm changes. So I think, because we've got about 45 minutes, so I think the best use of our time, I don't know if you will agree, but would be to something I started explaining to some of you guys in the past couple of weeks online, and it's that how to solo on a static major chord to make it more interesting. Mm-hmm. And that's going to actually fit perfectly also how to solo over rhythm changes, because rhythm changes, you asked in B flat, for example, no? What rhythm changes are. The way I look at it is just a massive, let's talk about rhythm changes in B flat. So the way I look at it, it's just a massive B flat, because everything is diatonic. So if you look at rhythm changes, which is the 1, 6 to 5 in B flat, you know, if you want to simplify the harmony or perhaps go back in time, probably what rhythm changes are at the beginning is just 4 bars of B flat. So whatever melody you have on rhythm changes will fit over just a B flat, over the 1. So the way harmony evolves throughout history, let's say we've got 4 bars of B flat, what's the first thing you can do to go deeper, to complicate that? Well, would be to add the 5. The 5, which is the F7th in this instance, is what creates that tension and resolution, is that cadence, that 5-1. A cadence, by definition, is a harmonic or melodic configuration that provides a sense of tension and resolution. And so the way harmony evolved throughout the history of music, at least Western music, you would have your 1 and then the 5. But the 5 is there only to get you back to the 1. There's no other purpose otherwise. And so suddenly music becomes more interesting. Now, the 1, 6 to 5, the 6 is the 1 and the 2 is the 5. There are inversions of each, or, you know, like, we find out quickly as we start playing guitar, when we realize A minor 7th over C is C major then. You know, the 1 and the 6 are siblings, really. And so when you do a 1, 6 to 5, you're playing the same thing with the 1 and the 6. Same thing goes to the 2 and the 5. And it's easy to see on the guitar, you know, they're almost the same thing. Even Joe Pass used to say, don't worry about the tooth, just think about the 5. Or Pat Martino says, just think about the 2 and not the 5, but, you know? So 1, 6 to 5 is a 1, 5. So the easy approach into rhythm changes is think B flat and F7th. And so in your head you can start going 1, 5, 1, 5. That's an easy way to look at it. So I wouldn't worry about the 1, 6, 2. You could. It depends on the style of music you play. You could, but you also you want to follow the harmony, but you don't want to be too strict. You don't want to be too anal about it, basically, right? You don't want to be, okay, 1, 6, 2, 5, exactly on the beat, on the 1. And so this is one approach. But to go deeper, we can start talking about what to play on the 1 only, on that 1 chord. So let's assume you've got 4 bars of B flat. Approach number 1 would be play 4 bars of B flat. Perhaps a B flat major arpeggio, right? You quickly find that it becomes boring quickly. So let's try that a bit. If you do just B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4. First thing you can do is it's sort of I'm getting at what I wanted to say under different angles. It's going to make sense at the end. It's going to come together. So bear with me just a bit. But over that B flat, the first thing you can do to make it more interesting, instead of just playing B flat, you will play the minor chords, right, on the 3 and on the 6. Django, it's that Django sound. So over that B flat, you'll be playing D minor or D minor 7. Or the 6 with the G minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's rule 1 on major chords. Now, if you put it together with what we said before, which is try to think of the 1 and the 5, let's look at what Django would do in this instance. So let's do G minor. The first thing you should work out is, this is a great exercise, on strings 1, 2, 3, and 4, you go and work out your G minor 7 arpeggios. Because if you play G minor 7 over B flat, it gives you a B flat 6. So let's start perhaps with, what would be the first B flat I can do here? Well, it has an open string. Let's look at that. So we'll do it from the high pitch to the low pitch, string 1 to string 4 only. You'll have G, F, D, G, F, D, B flat, open G, and F. So that's your first shape. After that, the next one after that is, it looks like a G minor pentatonic without the 4th. So B flat, G, F, D, and same again, B flat, G. Nice. Next, I'll have this one. So you can look at it as a B flat 6 or a G minor 7. And then G minor 7 up here. And there you have it. Then you've got 4 of them. And then this one is the same. So no need to memorize all of this now, obviously. It's just to give you a bit of a roadmap. So we will also do a recap at the end. But so again, you'll have this shape here. It's always the same 4 notes. G, F, D, B flat. Then this one here that looks like a G minor pentatonic almost. Then you've got this one up here. And then the G minor 7 up here. This is already a great tool to be more interesting over that B flat. Yes, you're still playing B flat 6, but because you're thinking about it in terms of G minor 7, that makes it a lot less likely for you to be starting on the actual root. So yes, you could think of it as a B flat 6. I like to think of it as G minus 7. It's a trick to help me not start with B flat, because it's obviously a bit obvious to play otherwise. So the step after that is, let's assume we have 4 bars of B flat, which is, you know, in theory what a 1-6-5 is. So let's assume I've got 4 bars of B flat, and this trick also works for, you know, any static major chord. What you do is, even if you've just got 4 bars of B flat, you will be thinking B flat F7th when you solo. So you even if the harmony is just a 1, you can think 1-5-1-5 as you solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the idea. So the way you connect those 4 shapes that you've learned is with those diminished arpeggios in between. F7th means A diminished. So far so good. You can play diminished over that dominant chord. So then, if you want that Django sound, you will be, let's start from F sharp. F sharp diminished. Instead of going for the whole arpeggio, we'll do 1 note per string, which gives us that Django sound. Because obviously, for him, doing the whole diminished arpeggio would have been a bit of a pain in the ass with 2 fingers. So we would see, he would go for... And that's the shape you repeat after 3 frets after 3 frets. So what you end up doing is connecting those 4 shapes . So you end up with this map. This can go into that 1-6-5 rhythm changes. You end up with this map that is great because it gives you a lot more freedom when it comes to improvising over major chords or rhythm changes, because you don't necessarily have to follow the chords exactly. You can sort of randomize. Then inevitably what will happen, your ears will guide you, and you know, you probably will not start on the one with that diminished. You know what I mean? But it's a good place to start, having that map. And so you end up, playing.
Sorry, what you're doing there is just going over the diminished G minus 7.
That's it. G minus 7 and A diminished, or F sharp diminished, or C diminished, or E flat diminished. They're all the same. Mm-hmm. And so that is when you practice it a lot, you end up with that map, and you can do it for minor as well, because only 1 note will change between B flat 6 and B flat minor 6, and you end up with that map that, in my opinion, is really cool, because then over 2-5-1, over 1-6-5, over, you can think, okay, B flat major, and you've got your map. But if you want to carry on from here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. When I'm thinking about this sort of stuff, I'm just, the whole rhythm change, a lot of the time, it's going too fast to be thinking about all the chords one by one. So you are just thinking about 1 and 5, and the 5 gives a bit of tension. So if you're playing, if you just play B flat, I'll try and make sense of this. So if I'm just playing B flat like Filippo was doing, like he said, it's B flat and then F7, B flat and then F7. Makes it a bit more interesting. So you're sort of treating it. I mean, I think that's great. You've got those ideas to go between diminished. That's great as well. One of the things you can do is just take licks you already know for B flat and F7, and it's sort of making sure you go back to the B flat. Because if you're playing this and you play a lot of F7, it's not going to make much sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really. What's more important is landing it right. So after you play an F7 idea, whatever it might be, making sure you go back to that B flat is very important, because actually, if you're creating some tension, you've got to make sure you resolve it. And that exercise that Filippo is showing does that, because you're going between one another, and the G minor, is G minor you playing?
G minor 7.
G minor 7's nicely rooted in that sound of B flat, so that works. But yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice opportunity in the rhythm. So if you're playing, I mean, there's loads of songs, isn't there, that do this. In C, you've got double scotch. I don't know if you know that. Same thing. It's just a. It's a nice opportunity to just think of C and G7 and get some nice tense ideas in there. Yeah.
And then obviously there will be more combinations. For example, this was G minor 7, and then the diminished in between. But you can take it a step further, or maybe moving to the key of C for simplicity. C major and an F7, right? C major, we can think of it as E minor or A minor, correct? And then G7th, I can look at G7th as an F minor as well, or F minor 6. And so a rhythm change in C major, I could just play F minor, E minor, F minor, E minor. F minor will be for my G7, right? Is that sound? Da-dee-da-dee-da. F minor to C is a cadence, just like G7. F minor to C works because I can think of this F minor as a G7th, with the flat 7th, the 11th, the sharp 5, and the flat 9th, and so on. And this is the 5th again. Yeah. So, anyways, you can come up with more and more interesting ideas. Like this is a 5-1. So, you can do more and more things, but I think a simple one to begin with is that minor 7 diminished, minor 7 diminished. Of course.
And when sort of going forward on this, sometimes you can really get away with absolute murder on this sort of thing by just creating a lot of tension on the G7. So if we just play, a rhythm change in C, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. So just then, I'm just playing something really out. I was playing a half whole tone scale on a G for the whole first part, because sometimes I'll separate in a rhythm change the first part, which is just round the houses, 1 6 2 5, and then you got 1 1 7 F around that bit. Then I'll play C to make a bit more sense. I mean, that's quite an extreme example, but it just shows what you can. What you can do, basically.
You can play whatever on the 5.
Yeah, I mean, another example. I don't know if this will work. Let's try this. 1 2 1 2 3 4. I mean, doesn't sound great, but that was absolute nonsense. And then resolving it, it's suddenly like, oh, this makes sense. That's okay. So. Yeah, I mean, you can really simplify, and the key is simplifying the chord changes. Something like that seems very complicated like that. It can just be 1 and 5, or just 5 5 5 5 5 5 1, and that works quite nice as well.